Crunchyroll, Crunchyroll, Crunchyroll. It's been established and well known for years that Crunchyroll has been on the woke progressive side that does nothing but make some ridiculous takes and push political agendas. I've talked about this in more detail in another video where I am so sick I sound like I'm being deep-throated by a giant futa cock. I don't hate Crunchyroll, at least not as much as a lot of people, but as a streaming service, they are not that great. So instead of putting money to improve the flaws in their streaming services, they decided to put money in making Crunchyroll originals. Okay, to be more accurate, they're just licensing it, but even if they spend zero dime on this, they do spend time telling everyone about this show. Now honestly, there's nothing wrong with a streaming service trying to branch out and produce their own original animated works, or license their own original animated works. But unfortunately, this isn't about animation works at all. This is about getting woke. This is about politics. I don't want this to be about politics. I'm just someone who enjoys good animation. I am someone who is passionate in making his own animation studio in the future, which you can absolutely help by putting some shekels in my Patreon. Smug, shamelessly begging you get the deal. Oh, speaking of Patreon, huge thanks to Samuel, Nick, and Zach for the pledges on Patreon. You guys are fantastic. Anyway, going back to the animation, the foundation of this entire animation is based on politics. The animation itself doesn't really matter, because if it does, the promotion video will actually talk more about the animation. But now the video talks more about identity politics, and I will show you that. Crunchyroll has been woke for years, but they absolutely need to be taught the principle in the rawest, most basic format. Y'all know what they say about getting woke. The moment you get woke, that's when you will go broke.
This show has a lot of heart.
Oh wow, that's a great start. The video has the ratings enabled, but look at them comments, or more accurately, lack thereof. Crunchyroll doesn't want to listen to the audiences about the concept of getting woke and going broke. But you know what, Crunchyroll? I will agree with you on this. The comment sections are not really that great in conveying the true meaning of my message, so I appreciate Crunchyroll to give me the opportunity to air my grievances in a video format instead. Oh, by the way, that screenshot with the ratings? Yeah, I was one of the original viewers of that video, and I took a screenshot in that when the ratings are still up. But the ratings are not up forever, and they eventually disabled them because the ratio is getting worse and worse. At any point, they might as well disable the video entirely.
This show has a lot of heart that I don't think would have come through from any other studio.
Okay, but the show on the surface looks like Bargain Bin Ruby / Little Witch Academia. I don't think the heart is the most important factor here.
One of the things that really attracted me to the position was the opportunity to do traditional hand-drawn 2D animation. Not only do I get to go back to the art form that I truly love, but I also get to create a studio from scratch.
I actually agree with her on this one. I do want more animations these days to do 2D instead of 3D. I find 2D to be a lot more expressive than 3D. It is a lot more difficult, but hey, that's the beauty of it.
High Guardian Space is about 4 girls who live in a magical city and are going to school to become guardians.
Wow, that does sound a lot like Bargain Bin Ruby or Discount Little Witch Academia.
It's funny and it's warm and it's adventurous, and they're letting us make it a little bit weird, so that's very exciting.
Maybe you need to show how it's funny and warm. I guess I can see how it's heartwarming due to the art style being... Actually, Crunchyroll, what are you doing? You're well known to stream anime, right? So why do you make animations that... Okay, why do you license a studio to make an animation that looks like modern Western animation? It's a little bit out of place. Yes, I heard about Panty and Stocking with Garbell, but that one was a deliberate aesthetic choice, and it's one time only. This one is Western animation, not something that I would call anime. Even Ruby is more faithful to anime. Is this the new direction for Crunchyroll? Take people's money from their anime subscription to fun Western animation that looks like any other Western animation in current year? Okay, fine, they're technically merely licensed the animation and not producing them, but again, those time and effort could be better spent providing a better streaming service. At this moment, Crunchyroll's streaming service is a lot less intuitive than just pirating anime. Steam can provide much better service than pirating video games, but I can't say the same thing to Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is not putting effort on this to actually make good animation. They just want a virtue signal.
It's a very modern reflection of the world. Our characters are really diverse, our cast is really diverse, and that's one of the things that excites me the most about it.
boy, that, my friend, is the definitive sign of getting woke. When you decided to advertise your cartoon with the diversity of your cast a lot more than the quality of the writing or the merit of the story, that's when you know that this will fail. Let me explain to you why the get woke, go broke mentality is accurate here. People watch cartoons for the story. They don't watch them because, OMG, one of the characters is a brown dude who is a comic relief and always be the butt of the joke. I can relate to that. Nobody cares about the diversity of the cast or the diversity of the creators. All they care about is the story. If the diversity of the cast is your main selling point, it's like selling a lemonade based on its glass.
People are really excited about what the show is and what it represents.
I am also excited to see what the show represents. Another example of get woke, go broke.
The fact that Crunchyroll Originals is doing this as a 2D animated series, it's giving us an opportunity to do things artistically that a lot of other shows and other studios really have forgotten how to do.
Yeah, well, the problem is it doesn't look exceptional. It looks like any other Western animation. I would have tolerated this more if it's in the early 2010s, but we're exposed to this sort of art style relentlessly. We're getting sick and tired of it. Yes, I know that the anime's art style are always the same, but at least the humans are realistically proportioned most of the time.
なんでドラゴンはみんなこんなにでかいんだ? なんでもない.
We are 50% female in all the creative roles, and our writer's room is 100% female.
50% female in the creative and 100% in the writing room. Good freaking God, we don't care. Sell me the freaking story. Unfortunately, since you can't sell the story because the story is just merely a bargain bin version of any other popular magical girl animes, diversity is the only thing that you can promote. It tells so much about the lack of quality or effort that you put in your animation. It tells me that you lack passion in making something good, and you have more passion to score virtue points with your friends.
I mean, this is what my whole career has been about, is trying to get those voices in there that are not being heard.
So your career is about giving people attention rather than actually making good stories. I am glad that you got your priorities straight.
I don't think anyone has seen stories quite like the ones that we're going to tell.
Okay, fam, that is just desperate. That's a load of BS when I see it. You don't sell something that looks like any other animations out there and think that people will buy it. Will this animation actually do something interesting and break the boundaries of your typical Western animation? I don't really know, but I just can't see it with a premise so cheap. And speaking of BS, here's Miles, who is someone from Crunchyroll basically just straight up lying to people, accusing the hand-wringers to get mad on the show. I find it rather disgusting that you actually said that the response is mostly positive. Yeah, prove it.
You are so in denial. You need therapy.
People's take on the show is quite hilarious as well. Someone said Crunchyroll is virtue signaling by having an all-female writer crew on their show, LMFAO. Imagine being this much of a scrub. Imagine thinking women working on things is virtue signaling. Yeah, the issue isn't that women are working on the show, because that's basically every show on planet Earth. The issue is that the show promotes it as one of its selling points, as if that's a great reassurance that the show would be good. Nobody cares if the show was made by 100% women or 100% alien. Just tell me what the show is about. The video spent way too much time talking about its diversity, but diversity doesn't guarantee quality. Diversity is not a good selling point for your show. I don't sell my YouTube channel by pointing out how brown my skin is in a mostly white English-speaking YouTube space. And by the way, one of the writers of the show have some seriously hot takes too. A lot of these hot takes always involve hating men. Her takes are so hot that she ended up deleting a lot of her previous tweets, but thank God for the power of the archives and screenshots. Her latest take is just dismissing people about the criticisms being call arts. Actually, that's the first time I mentioned call arts in this video, but that's mostly because whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. This art style is oversaturated and doesn't look appealing to the mainstream public, and we can prove that it doesn't. Not a lot of people like this art style because it's in almost every Western animation right now. We can prove to you that people don't like it. Oh wait, no we can't, because you disabled the ratings, which is why we have screenshots. This is something that no one in Crunchyroll wants to see, and if you bring it to their face, they will straight up deny it. And I know that some of you might dismiss this by saying, well, it's just a kid's show. That's not the point of this entire conversation. Sure, this show isn't for me, so why am I complaining? Well, I'm complaining because you advertise the show to me and to a lot of people. And your way of advertising is to advertise the show based on the diversity of the cast instead of other more important traits that I care more about and many others care more about, like the story or the characters. I'm complaining because you prevent any sorts of feedback from coming to you. I'm complaining because you are in denial when we brought up these feedbacks to you. It doesn't matter if the show is for me or not. I find this way of advertising very destructive. I find their behaviors in handling criticisms incredibly immature. I find their denial to be downright insulting. I bring these criticisms because my intentions are good. If you are legitimately passionate about the show, don't sell the diversity of the cast or the crew members, because those are things that audiences don't care about. And blocking the ratings and comments just highlights how much you don't care about your audiences or any of this at all. All of this is just a medium for virtue signaling. It's all it is. It's not about making a good show. It's about virtue signaling to the right people, or more accurately to the left people, the far left that is. So in conclusion, it's Crunchyroll not fixing their streaming service, but branching out to license their own original shows. It would be just nothing but harmless bargain bin little witch show, but the moment you promote it to have more diversity than the freaking Burger King's Club, that's the moment where I know that the show is just mere seconds in approaching the go broke part of the story. I am actually more disgusted with either the die-hard Crunchyroll fans or the employees of the company just denying the negative reception. Now, you don't have to say that your show is terrible, but at least acknowledge that people don't like it. And seriously, why are you guys using gender as your selling point? Why is the diversity of the cast or the diversity of the crew members more important to point out than the quality of the story? Do you know where diversity of the crew cast would be a great selling point? A strip club in Omega!